welcome back to my another video. And in this video, in this tutorial, I will show you how we can terminate a loop by empty string. So that's going to be the main thing or the main takeaway in this video. Okay, so but the program that I'm going to write will be, we will ask the user to enter or insert string values, and we will take all those string values and store it inside an array list. And after, at the end of the program, we will print out all the values, all those string values that were entered by the user back to the user. We will print them out to the console. Okay, but the main thing, as I said, here is how we can terminate the loop once the user enters empty string. Okay, so that's the takeaway from this video. Let's jump right into it. Alright, so in here, first thing, I will define an empty string. Okay, so here is my empty string. I will name it empty string, and I will assign to it empty string. Okay, second, I will create scanner object. I will name it input equals to new scanner system.in. all right, so now we need a loop. Okay, because we want to ask the user for string continuously. In other words, we would prompt the user to insert string continuously until he enters empty string. Okay, so let's define while loop here. In while loop, what I will do is I will set this to true. Okay, so in other words, now this loop will continue infinitely. Okay, but we can stop that by writing some logic inside the loop, and specifically the if statements. That's where we will define. All right, so now I will ask the user continuously to enter string. Okay, all right, okay, here's a string is misspelled here. So now let me store the value that we receive from the user input dot next line. All right, so what does this next line method does? So here's the little definition. If you're using IntelliJ IDE, you will have the definition of this method, or you can Google it and you will have the definition of this method or the functionality that this method will do for us. All right, so I'm gonna store this value, the string value that we captured from the user, back to string type variable called user input. Okay, now here comes the main logic that I was talking about. I will define if statement here. If this user input dot equals to empty string. Okay, now I wouldn't do this. I would just simply add exclamation mark here to make this a negative condition. Okay, in other words, we would say that the loop will continue till the user enters empty string. Okay, or this loop will continue, or if the user input is not equal to empty string, the loop will continue. And what logic do you want to do? As I said, I want to add all the string values to a list. Okay, so I want to create a list up here, list of string type. I would call it list equals to new array list. Array list is the implementation of the list. List is an interface, so we can't get object of interface, but this array list is implementation for the list, so that's why we are getting the array list right here. All right, so what I would do is I would say list dot add what? The value that the user input. Okay, so we will add the user input to it. And in else block, if this is not the case, okay, we'll say what if in other words, what if the user enters empty string? If the user enters empty string, our condition criteria is to break the loop. Okay, so here we will come out of the loop. So once we come out of the loop, remember I told you that we will print all those elements back to the user once the user enters empty string. So here I will iterate over the list and print all the elements back to the user, to the console. So what I would say, I would take a for each loop here of type string. I would call it items, or let's say item, in item of list data structure. Okay, and inside the body of this for loop, I'll just simply say that print item with each iteration. But in this system that out on println statement, I just want to add, some text. I want to print some text before I print each item. So I can just say system.println list elements. Okay. All right. So here's our program, guys. Okay. I hope it's clear cut till this point. So let me go through this code that we just wrote. So first line of code says that we wrote is we define here an empty string. Okay. So this is our empty string with this double quotation. This indicates that this is an empty string. Okay, the length of this string is 0. There is nothing in this string. Second, we have a list data structure, an array list in order to store string values. Third, we define scanner object. So because we need a scanner object in order to access a scanner class or scanner object methods, which one of them is next line method, because you have to instantiate an object in order to get access to the methods of that class. So that's what we did here. We initialize the object by the new keyword. Okay, and next step, we defined a while loop, and inside and we set the while loop to true. By true, it means we set the while loop to execute continuously or infinitely, but we based it with this logic here, with this if statement right here. Okay, but before I come explain this, let me go to inside the while loop. So inside the while loop, I prompted the user to enter a string value for us. Okay, and once the user puts that value, so you have to capture the value, right? The user gives you the value, but you need to store that value somewhere. So that's why I define a string type variable called user input, and I captured the value and stored it here to this user input. Okay, so next I define this if statement right here. Now the if statement, inside the if statement, the condition for the if statement is the loop will continue till the user input equals to empty string. Okay, we negated it with this exclamation mark. This is a negative condition. Okay, if this negative condition comes true, then in else block the loop will break, or the control or the flow will come out of this loop, will go to the next line. But before it happens, if the user keeps entering string values, then we are adding each value to the list by using the method add of list object, and we're passing that user input to it. Okay, so as I explained, this else block, it will break in opposite case. Okay, next we just printed a simple, a text to identify that after this we will be iterating over the list. And in here next we just wrote a for loop in order to iterate over the list. Okay, so the type of the list is string, and we're giving a name for the temp variable here. Okay, and inside we are printing the item with each iteration. Whatever, we're printing those string values or elements that are inside this string. All right. Okay, so let's run the program. All right, so let me insert some values here. I would say Smith, Johnson, Verat, and next I don't want to continue inserting values. I will just simply press enter, and now you can see the program terminated. Okay, so we can see this message list elements. These are all the elements that we stored or added to the list, or these were all the string values that we inserted right here, and then we stored it, and at the end we printed them out back to the console. So as I said, the main takeaway of this video is how we can eliminate a loop with an empty string. So we define this empty string. This is the main criteria, this is the main condition for it. Okay, so just remember this condition will eliminate or terminate the loop. I hope it was a straightforward video and helpful, and if you have any question, any concerns, please leave on the comment section, and please don't forget to give a thumbs up if you like the video and subscribe to the channel. Thank you so much and have a wonderful day.